this episode, I sit down with my beautiful mama to learn more about how being a female raised in Peru created an unspoken belief that a woman's body and sexuality should be hidden. Otherwise, it's viewed as shameful and met with disapproval. I'm so freaking proud of how she found the strength within herself to stop living small and step into the discomfort of learning a new way of living as a woman fully in love with her body. And learning more about how she was raised has given me more of an understanding as to why I was raised with the same destructive silence when it came to teaching me about sex. So I wanted to bring you on as my first guest because, well, I came from you. And
that makes sense.
And a lot of my work and healing that I have done is around the way that I was raised with you as my mommy. And not to say that it was a bad way to be raised, but it had its difficulties, as we've spoken before, that you had your difficulties growing up in your household as well.
That's right. Yeah.
And we've had conversations about this, that it's easier for me to now have an understanding and a compassion to not feel resentful and hurt from or take it personally, right?
Right.
So I know we talked about it a little bit, but I just wanted you to speak a little bit about what it was like growing up in Peru for you. I know that you went to an all-girls school, and you didn't really have any friends who were boys, or I guess you didn't have any kind of exposure to boys.
No.
So I guess, I don't know, what was that like? Not having even boys around in your life, not even knowing what they were like other than your cousins or your brother and just your dad. What was it like?
Well, the first thing that comes to mind is when my dad, my brother is 2 years older than me, when he was given an allowance every week to invite his girlfriends or to just treat her girlfriends, but I was never given an allowance, or I was given a lower allowance. And that made me feel like, oh, okay, I don't need to have money because the person that I'm going to be with will provide for me. That's an unspoken thing that, you're always expected to be treated for things. And I think it was okay not to have friends when I was younger. I mean, friends that were boys. It was good, but it was an unspoken thing that I had to be careful, because I wasn't allowed to be with them to begin with. I only started having friends that were boys when I was in my late teens. It was in high school. So I think my boyfriend was when I was 16 years old. But since I was the youngest of my sisters, I never felt that I could play with them, because they were always interested in my sisters that were older than me. And so I felt like a little ugly duckling, because they always were interested in Tia Elena, how pretty she is. And she was even prettier when she was younger, and everybody was around her. So it was just that, not really knew anything about them and not said anything. The only thing that I remember, that it was not really, that nobody mentioned directly, but it was like, now I realize that the culture has a lot of messages that send to you without even telling you. Like, you have to be a virgin when you get married, so you have to save yourself for when you get married. And of course, I never had anybody. I didn't have any intentions to get married when I was in my teens, because I knew I wanted to go to school.
Yes. So on that, just because I wanted to touch on that, you said that Tio Rolla got an allowance,
Yeah.
So, and in most cultures, I think males are always treated differently. Did you feel that you were ever encouraged to go to university and get a career or have a career? Or was it mostly, did you feel that, females were more encouraged to be wives and mothers and just, I don't know, run the house, be housewife.
Right. Yeah, no, I had to learn to cook, to clean the house, to do everything, because I knew those were skills that I would need in the future. No, I wasn't encouraged, but I was expected. I was the youngest one. My two older sisters were married when they were 19. So they didn't pursue any education, higher education. I was the only one that had the opportunity to go and go to Europe, to Spain to study. But when I finished studying, I came back to here, actually, to the States, because my dad was here. He was the one that was supporting me when I was in Spain. And he expected me to have found a husband when I was in school. So he said, how come you didn't marry anybody from there? I said, well, I didn't find anybody to marry. But I was expected to find a professional guy to marry and support me throughout. After that, that was his message. How come he didn't? Yeah, no, I wasn't encouraged. It was not really that to pursue anything.
Right. Yeah, the value was more on the man.
Yeah.
Did you ever, once you did start becoming, sexually active, did you ever experience anything that, when you started dating and having relationships, did you ever experience anything that you felt unsafe or that you were confused about because, no one spoke to you about sex or anything?
Right. Yeah, nobody. And I know also the thing that that is spoken is that you have to save yourself for when you're married. And if you ever are in a relationship but you feel the physical desire to be with somebody, it's not, you don't feel safe, because it's not something that you do out of feeling comfortable. You do something and you feel guilty because you are just given a name. You are like a whore if you're doing that and you're not married. So that also created a lot of confusion in me, because, if I was sexually active prior to getting married, and so although it was something that you wanted to do or my body wanted to do, but there was a lot of guilt on that sense too. So it's not a good feeling.
Yeah, and that's something that has definitely been brought down to me. And
right.
To, I'm sure a lot of it's not an uncommon story that,
right.
The guilt just is carried by the woman in every generation,
right.
to the mother, to the daughter, to so on and so forth.
Right.
So then you eventually did become a mom, and I can only imagine what all of these stories and conditionings and, this programming that you've had when you were young, how you brought that to me and Sue, and maybe to even Chris.
Right.
I'm curious to hear what was your thought process when you had daughters, and if you were scared of it and
Well, yeah, I was really, and I remember I was thinking today about that little book that we had. It was a children's book, and how it was a lot of graphics about how one becomes pregnant, and then how a baby's born. It was like a cartoon kind of thing, a children's book. And I thought, wow, this is a great book, so you could learn. And I think you were probably 4 and 5, and you probably didn't understand what the book was. But I was interested because it was kind of something that I was learning. Oh, that's what my body did. I didn't know.
Wow. So you didn't even know what was happening with you in your own pregnancy. No one taught you.
Right. Yeah, no. Of course, I tried to read. I tried to, I remember, let me go back a little bit. When I was in high school, I was a senior in high school. There was a group class that the teachers brought out. It was like 4 or 5 classes, maybe like 100 or 200 girls in a big auditorium. And what they told us about sex, they showed us a video of it was a movie or whatever it was, but it was about venereal disease. So they scare you right from there that you should not get just with anybody. So it was really very drawn that, you know, you don't need to sleep around. You just find somebody that you think you're in love with, and that's how you get connected. So when I married your dad, I just definitely thought it was just forever. I could not even think or look around or just be attracted to anybody. And of course, that's been throughout my life. But the first thing that I was told about sex was that it was a bad thing because you can get sick and you don't want to do that to yourself. Right. So you just be careful.
Yeah, it's dirty. It's shameful.
But nobody told me, right? Nobody told me how to protect yourself. You don't want to get pregnant. I never knew that. Mm-hmm. So when you guys came along, since I grew up without having a mom, I just want to be there with you. I just wanted to protect you. And of course, nobody told me anything. And I just thought that was the way that it was. Nobody says anything about your body. Nobody says about how your body changes, you know, with time and how you become a woman.
Yeah. Yeah. And I remember, you know, I want to, I guess, speak more to how the way that you were raised rippled down to me. To me, I remember, like, there's so many little time situations and experiences that I remember. I remember when I was washing my laundry once, and I think I was maybe 14, a freshman, and I had a thong, and I had bought it without telling you, and I was doing my laundry, and you were switching. I was in the laundry room, I remember, and I was like, oh no, mommy's going to see my thong. She's changing my clothes from the washer to the dryer. And you came out, and you were so upset. And you're like, what is this? And I was scared. I was scared because I knew immediately, without even about what the problem was with having a piece of underwear, that you immediately were going to assume something bad about it, that you assumed that me wearing a thong meant that I wanted to have sex or attract boys. Mm-hmm. You know, where in my mind, it's mostly like, it's embarrassing to have like the underwear line on your pants as a teenager. And you know, and my mind was even at sex. But yeah, I remember that you were just terrified of me even, I guess it felt like at that age, you were afraid of me even feeling too feminine or too flirtatious or too or aware of my body, I guess.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I guess, yes, that's very good what you say, because it seems like I've learned to just shut down whatever I felt as a woman, and I just could not express myself in that way, because that would make me slut, even though being married. And I remember something very interesting. Now when I look back, I said, wow. When I first came here, when I came to the States, I was 20 years old. And somebody told me, an older person that I was working with, he said to me, oh, you're very sexy. And I got that as an insult, because sexy meant to me sex. And I said, what do you mean? Yeah, you're very sexy. And he said it again in a very, in a nice way, not in a very, but I found it insulting, because just the word there, that meant like you're a slut to me. That was the language that I was translating. I was just learning English then, but it didn't feel right that I was told you're sexy.
Wow, that's interesting that just the root word, just the 3-letter word, so much shame and like inappropriateness for you. That's interesting.
Yeah, it did. Yeah.
And it was, I was very unsure of myself, and I started to have that exact same idea of sex. Yeah, I
I
don't know.
think that that feeling about us being or feeling like a whore comes with the culture in Peru. Like if you are not a prudent woman, if you're a woman, you have to be prudent. You have to be like respectful. You have to be like not attractive. You have to lower all your uh, femininity, not expose it. Just like you have to like be in a cage actually, because you don't want to give men the wrong idea that you're an easy person, that you're not an easy woman, that they can get you into they can get you into bed. And that also is encouraged among women. Women are the one among women, they make us be rivals and make us be not understanding of each other. They just make us to
Compete.
be judgy, compete, and all that. So it's like very, very Peruvian, I would say, or very Latin American.
I think it's very common everywhere in female country, in female culture.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I can only imagine. That's interesting to say that's how it was in Peru, where in the States it's more you are not defined, but your value is almost with your looks, with your physical appearance, and how attractive you are to the opposite sex. Mm-hmm. So it was almost encouraged, at least in my time, to flaunt your body and be more attractive and flirt and not be easy, but it's I felt like that was the only way that I knew how to get the attention of the opposite sex, was if I am seen as attractive and you want to sleep with me. So
yeah,
I can understand how you were afraid of where you came from to where I came, where I was growing up.
Right. And when it came to be you teenagers, I just thought that by not telling you and not allowing you to go out or to be with friends, I was doing you a service. But actually, I was just blind at the time that it was, not knowing. It's even worse. Not knowing and just not giving yourself or giving you the tools to be self-confident that what your body is and what you feel. I was not doing you a service. I just thought it was just, I thought I was protecting you because that's the way I was told. Like my father gave us like a curfew. We have to be back home by 6 before dark. And I said, what happened after dark? Well, things happen. So you are a girl, you have to be back home before 6. So many things happen after dark.
Right. Yeah. And you not even knowing what happened, him just saying things happen, it immediately puts in that fear within you to be like, okay, I don't know what's going to happen, but I know that it's not good. So
and you never feel safe being a woman in Peru, because even by walking on the streets, if you are just being a woman, just being a girl, men are whistling at you or calling you names or coming, like touching you inappropriately without even knowing you, just by walking on the street. And it's very, very unsafe to be a woman.
Did you ever experience any of that? Did you ever feel that discomfort or that? Because that's not just, that's everywhere, that's me walking down the street anywhere. Leaving the house for a man is very different than it is for a woman. I leave the house and no, I'm not terrified of everything, but I know I have to have awareness of everything and everyone around me. That's just, programmed within me to be safe at all times. And it's unfortunate that men don't have to think that way when they leave the house all the time.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. You have to be very, very aware when you walk in Peru. I remember having to cross the street because I would see men or boys coming out on my direction because I just wanted to avoid whatever they were going to do. It's not safe.
So thinking of all that stress of having not one, but two daughters. I remember we had this conversation when we were in San Diego together that I told you I don't remember you being very happy all the time when we were younger. And I wonder, and I could feel that. I could feel not knowing what was going on with you personally. I just felt that your energy was not always happy.
Mm-hmm.
I'm wondering if anything of what you felt in your own body and what you felt in your own life and in your own, for your sexuality, if you were feeling within pleasure, if you were happy, if anything. I wonder if you can remember what exactly was going on in life at that time when, we were all young, that you didn't really seem to be happy.
Yeah, I think definitely I have not been in my body most of the time, just trying to be a mom and trying to be a wife, and always trying to be there for you, or for your dad, or for the kids. It's not something that it's common, and it's still, I'm trying to become more of me. And I just realized that when I was young, I in school I didn't have to worry about boys because I wore a uniform every day, and I was with girls all the time. But when it became to you, I just thought, okay, I'm gonna not let them fall into all these dangers that I knew could happen. But when it came to me, it was just like I was worried. I was concerned. Most of the time, I was concerned about not being financially secured, which we were young. We were just new in this country. It's not easy to adapt to a new culture, but we did it. And it's just like it was when you guys grew up, I realized, oh wow, we're missing a big part of the pie. I'm missing a big part of the pie, the biggest, which is more spiritually. We were just thinking about making ends meet.
Yeah.
And we were trying to provide for you, but then now it's all this new big avenue that's opening up, which is just emotionally and spiritually growing. I remember when we went to this
the seminar,
Mama Gina, the experience, the Regina Tomashower experience. The first time that we went to that experience, and we had lunch, all three of us. I realized I said, they have to go and do this, because I didn't have that, and I don't want them to wait until they're my age to realize all that they have to gain to heal, because I felt like I had fallen short about being a mom. So that was the first time. I remember that lunch time that we had.
I remember that lunch as well, and it was met with some resistance. We didn't want. I think at that point we were at the age where we just had so much resentment, and we were unhappy with ourselves. I was willing to do it, I remember, and I'm happy that I did it, but it was almost like, well, I don't want to do this just because you want me to do it, like another thing that you want me to do for you. But me aside, I want to talk to you about your experience with Mama Gina, because I know after that, it was a beautiful transformation to watch you go through. And I wonder what your relationship with your body and your sexuality was before that. And then what was it like after that? Because I remember you would tell me that you were going with all your sister goddesses, and you were going to these events, and you were telling me how you did breath work for the first time, and you were like naked next to somebody's pool with all these women, and she was telling you about breath work. And that's, I think, when breath work became a really big deal to you.
Yes, it did. Yeah.
You experienced the healing powers of it, and you're surrounded by women, which is incredible.
Yeah.
But I want to know what your relationship was with before and after that entire experience, and what if it's still developing, and
Yeah, I think it's still developing, because I remember that experience when we went with my sister goddesses. and we were jumping in the pool. I felt ashamed of being naked around them. And but then after a while, you just feel so comfortable because everybody's being just natural about their body. And when I did that breath work, it was like a full body orgasm, that it was like, wow, how did I ever miss this? And it was just the energy. And I just love that idea that sex now is not just um, a physical expression of yourself. It's just more spiritual, because you just get energy. And I just love the idea that you don't need anybody to do it. You can just do it by yourself. And it's just you getting to love yourself in such a way that you are just ecstatic about being you, about having this beautiful body, and just being part of this the universe, Mother Earth, and you just connected. It's just the connection that you can get. And I love that. And I'm not saying that I do that every day, but it's getting to be more natural, and just getting to feel more comfortable with myself, which before it was it was not a good place that I was, and I didn't know it. That I think probably that's why I stayed there for so long, because I didn't know what else was there. And now I know. I know there is more to just having a little bit of pleasure, physical pleasure for a moment. It's more. It's kind of stay with you longer.
Yeah. So would you say that your relationship with your body before Mama Gina was very, like, even being naked in front of other people was shameful, even if it was other women?
Yeah.
And so now you're becoming more comfortable. I think I even for your graduation, I bought you a little.
Yes, I have a little lingerie. Yes.
So now, do you feel like you're more, into your body? You feel more present,
of course,
and happy with. I don't want to know so much about sex with Dad, but if actually, you just feel comfortable in your own skin, or even just being with you by yourself.
Right. Yes, and be grateful for what I see, because it's not that I have to be a 20-year-old. I'm just grateful the way I feel being the ageless woman that I am. And it's a good feeling. It's an ongoing work. Yes.
Mm-hmm. Did you ever have any, I guess, a different opinion of your body after three kids? Did you? I mean, I feel like you never, I don't know, maybe I just didn't notice it, but I feel you never really were too concerned or preoccupied with what people thought about your body or what Dad thought about your body. But maybe I'm wrong, because I only know you as my mother, and you are somebody's wife. And, I don't know what it's like to have a child and have your body change, but I wonder what your relationship with your body was after kids, if you saw it differently.
Well, we always want to be skinny. We always want to feel skinny. Good thing we never had weight problems. And I felt comfortable with my body, but sometimes wanted to look younger or better. And I think I do like to take care of my body and just feel healthy more than younger. I'm good. I think since I was younger, I don't know if you remember, when I was 12 years old, I was chosen as a queen. Mm-hmm. So since then, I knew I was pretty. But I always wanted not to be just pretty. I just wanted to be smart. That's why I think I was the only one from my sisters that went to higher education. And I didn't, I got married when I was 24, and everybody was thinking, oh, when is she going to get married? She's getting, too old to find a husband. Mm-hmm. And that's the idea. If you're 23, you're just, the word in Spanish is solterona, like single. And but and it has a very derogatory meaning to be solterona, right? It's not like a bachelorette kind of thing. It's something desirable.
Yeah, like
But
an
in
old
Spanish,
maid.
doesn't really sound bien, right? An
Right.
old maid. But I think I feel very grateful for the way I feel, and I just. But I do know I work at it. It's not laborious work, but it's just I eat healthy. I do exercise. I do breathe. Breath work is a very, very helpful thing for also feeling more in my body. And I'm feeling healthy. I think that's the main thing. When I start seeing people my age wanting to say, oh, it hurts here, it hurts there, oh, I feel like this, or I feel like that, I said, oh, I don't feel like that. I don't want to feel like that. I don't want to give myself an age number. So I just feel ageless. And I like to continue like that.
Yeah. It's interesting that those are the same standards that society has put on us at this generation, that, I'm in my 30s and everybody's like, oh, you're not married, you don't have kids yet. And I'm put up against this standard that's not even my own, that my life, it doesn't have value unless I'm married or with children.
Mm-hmm. Right.
But I remember that you never forced that on me, nor did Dad. You guys never were like, okay, you have to be married at this point. Why aren't you finding somebody to date? I mean, you didn't even want me to date at this point.
Right.
But I never felt the pressure of like having to get married or have children.
Right.
So I'm grateful for that. And I think you more instilled the ideas of just working hard and having a career and being independent.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Yeah. So now, I mean, I guess just trying to rewrite everything that I've been taught. And I know that you have done all your beautiful work, and it's amazing to watch. And now I'm doing my work to be able to know how to communicate with my body better, just like you did with breath work. I'm trying to find my own modality of how I want to connect more with myself. And but I wonder, what would you have done differently when we were younger, now that you have this new perspective on, it didn't have to be wrapped around shame and fear and guilt. And instead, that as a woman, your body should be celebrated, and that sex can be something that's beautiful and celebrated as well, not shameful, of course.
Right.
And the only reason it's done with shame in my eyes is because I was doing it with the wrong people, with the wrong intention, and the wrong perspective of myself, right? It was to validate myself, to feel love. So I want to know.
I think what I would do different would be more expressive of showing you my love. I guess the way that I showed you my love was very dry, and I would celebrate. I will teach you. I would have to learn first myself and teach you how to be a woman is, and to celebrate you and tell you about what your body is how is it going to develop, and just remove any sense of shame. And it's just and celebrate that you are a woman. I remember a lot of people or a lot of girls say, oh, I have my period again, and it's something that you have to celebrate. You have your period, you give life, your body can give life, and you are in connection with the earth at that time, more connected to the earth, more grounded to the earth. So it's more beautiful to be a woman nowadays. Teach you to celebrate it more and be glad and be proud of your body. And just feel better about yourself. And yes, I think that we do that a lot when we're young. We just look for love in different ways. And now, like you say, you don't have any resentment to us. I look at how I was raised too, with no guidance at all. Papito didn't know anything, and my mom also didn't tell me much. So we just were walking around blindfolded for life. I would celebrate more. I would learn. I will teach you how to celebrate. You are such a beautiful, in such a beautiful body that it needs to be celebrated.
Yeah, I think that's something that should be taught at a young age, to love your body, to treat it well.
Yes.
I heard this beautiful
right.
Way of explaining it the other day through the Layla Martin course. When we say that we're queens, you think of your body, you're a queen, but what are you the queen of? Your temple, which is your body. And so how are you going to treat, your people, your town, right? And how are you going to love and care for your body and your subjects, being your emotions? How are you going to hold court, allowing them to speak all your emotions, but not letting it get out of order? But the same thing is how you treat your body, with what you feed it, with how you speak to it, all these things. And I didn't have any of that guidance when I was younger, but I know that you didn't either, right? So.
Right. Yeah. And also the way you feel about yourself and your thoughts too are a lot of, now that I spending some time with little girls, I am teaching them mirror work. So just look at the mirror and just teach them from very, very young how beautiful they are. Just look at yourself in the mirror and just talk to you in a very loving way, which it was not encouraged in our time. It was, on the contrary, you are not supposed to be vain. You don't have to be proud of yourself. On the contrary, you just don't speak about yourself. You are not allowed to do that. That doesn't look good. But in the contrary, it has to be. You have to really look at yourself and be proud of who you are and love yourself first. Learn to love yourself before you ask anybody else.
Yeah, I think
to love you.
That's the biggest teaching right now that everybody's starting to learn. We all want to be the first to heal everything and fix everything that's happening outside of us because we think it's affecting us inside. But what we have to do is heal ourselves from within in order to fix what's going on outside. So
that's true.
I think what I want to always ask is if you can think about when you were hitting puberty, what is the one piece of advice you wish you knew when you were younger that you feel could have made a big impact on your life?
Just be yourself and love yourself. Express yourself in a way that you can really become you without thinking of what they're going to say. You need to be proud of who you are without comparing yourself with anybody else because you are unique. You're a unique human being.
I'm so proud of you, Mama.
Thank you, Mama Chita. I'm so proud of you too.
That's all I have today for you beautiful humans. If you enjoyed this episode and are enjoying the podcast, then please leave a friendly review on Spotify, Apple, or wherever you're listening from. And if you want to chat with me or be a guest on the podcast, then reach out to me at becomingwhoineeded@gmail.com, or you can find me on Instagram at becomingwhoineeded. Lots of love.